goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight, there goes a sight. Now there goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight, there goes a sight. There goes a sight from my soul. I think a fall angel just walked by. 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 There goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight, there goes a sight. Now there goes a sight from my
All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Upsurge Premier League. We are here with the final week of games here between First Blood Crusaders and Supernova, respectively the first place team in the league right now. My name is Orbital. I am joined here by Rebel Fox. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, man. I love watching League of Legends, and casting's my favorite thing for a couple of top-tier teams like this. I'm excited.
Yes, and so we are getting into the draft phase right now. 3 bans across the board for First Blood Crusaders. We do have the Lux, Aurelia, and Yumi. For Supernova, we do have the Thresh, Nico, and Katarina. So, very interesting stuff there, but Morgana automatically picked up for Sonotic.
Yeah, Sonotic is basically, he's half Morgana, half Thresh. With Thresh off the table, makes sense. Goes towards this. It's his most played champion. Those two both about 100 games plus, so a lot of comfort here for Sonotic.
Yes, it is. And so we are looking to have the second pick come through, the first pick for Supernova. So I'm interested to see because there is quite a few different setups, and Yasuo automatically picked up, and the combination of Yasuo Gragas automatically locked in, which is a bold statement right at the beginning of the
Yeah, and even better is, like, you can run this out of the jungle and the mid lane, which would make a lot of sense in terms of their respective roles. You could also run it as a bot lane combination if you want to get really aggressive into something protective. Morgana makes it a little harder with that black shield, but certainly can still be run on the side of Supernova.
Yes, it can. In response, we do have the Aatrox and the Rise hovers, so we already start to see some lane dominance coming out here. Aatrox, one of the premier top lane picks, and Rise also a premier top lane, so going with a double flex pick with the Karma on the support role for Supernova.
Yeah, a lot of flex picks actually being thrown around here right now. You're saying, like, Morgana is expected to be support. I would say that's the most comfortable position for any of these champions. Karma can go top lane, support, mid lane even. As you said, Aatrox, Rise, both good top laners, can also be flexed mid. Aatrox, of course, can come jungle. These are really, really wide-ranging drafts. I'm very interested to see what these teams will end up going.
Yeah, and Caitlyn, the ADC pool now getting hit. Caitlyn Sivir taken off the table. I feel there might be a jungle ban coming out from Supernova here, as well as possibly a top lane ban coming out from FBC.
That it can. Okay, I think ADC is the one pool that neither one has touched. Of course, Supernova with the Yasuo can flex it down there. It's not as strong as it once was, but if they completely pinch off the pool, they'll kind of pigeonhole themselves into that way of style. That's why you do see, as you said, that top lane Kennen being taken out of the pool.
You always want to tag, one or two different areas there, and so they have decided to opt for that top lane, and then another ADC ban. So First Blood Crusaders not worried at all for Spooky, making sure that they fully try and take value out of this game. So have to see if that comes around for them, and they automatically pick up the Xayah as well.
With a Xayah champion locked into the pool here, and with Rise, Aatrox, a little bit more early game style focus here, wouldn't shock me to see Lucian taken for Spooky. I know it's a champion he really likes to play and can kind of oppress some of these earlier game champions or these later game champions. Things like the Xayah and the Sivir. It's very, very good right now.
And that also leaves up the Lucian, so that will be going over to Spooky if it is locked in. And Supernova, if that Karma is actually going mid, there is an opportunity to have the Lovers duo in that bottom lane, but it is we'll still have to wait and see. Last pick coming out here, we do need a jungle, so going to be interesting.
Yeah, it could still be Aatrox jungle if they really want to get fancy with this draft here, but I do expect a pure jungler to be taken in place of that Aatrox. That likely go in top lane. See what it wants to be here. Ooh.
And a Poppy, so that is possibly going to be the Poppy jungle. I have seen Aatrox also tried in the jungle, although I'm not sure if it's most favorable there. But this is a very heavy team fight composition that we have locked in, and same thing for Supernova.
Yeah, very interesting. So I think what happened was they wanted the Poppy as a counter for the later game style of the Yasuo, and expecting that would be one of the solo laners. They knew that the bot lane was fine with the Khan side. They did a very interesting putting Aatrox in the jungle, but that's something that their jungler really, really does like to play. Learning Brain has plays it quite a bit in solo queue. So if anybody's going to bring it out in the jungle, it's probably him.
Yeah, and now we get straight into the actual draft. So we finally get to see who is going where. We do have an Aatrox, Ryze, and Poppy, which technically is a triple flex pick if you really want to stretch it a little bit. But again, this bottom lane is going to be very interesting and very volatile. Again, like you said, Synodic with his signature Morgana. But the lovers duo, Azira Khan, might be looking to really pin them down.
What I'm interested in here is I'm actually curious to see whether they want to put Poppy directly into the Yasuo matchup, no matter whether it's top lane or mid lane. So they could throw it top lane if it's a top lane Yasuo, but my guess is that it's a top lane Karma. So they're going to put the Poppy mid lane for Sim. That's what I think could happen here if that's the case, so they can get a better matchup.
Yeah, I can definitely agree, and we see the Poppy locked in for that top lane, but that is going to be Cake Lord taking the Karma. So that is a top lane Karma, ladies and gentlemen. One of the rudest matchups, I would have to say.
Did you say rude as in like not nice, or root as in like rooted to the ground? Because I think both words are apt comparisons for the Karma in the top lane.
I didn't. I feel that was a little bit forced, but I have to give it to you because that is so true with how Karma is played on that top side. It is just constant poking, constant here, let me chip you away. At the same time, though, Poppy, you have to understand with the passive, 50% armor and magic resist, I believe, is what happens. And so she gets immensely buffed, which makes it even harder to poke out.
Absolutely. I do think Karma is one of these champions that's decent into Poppy, though. She has no pure mobility. She has a lot of just absolute aggression, good poke into it. And Aatrox isn't phenomenal at ganking unless he gets a really deep route. So Cake Lord, if he plays safe enough in this top side, keeps his wards up, I don't think there's a way that this Poppy can actually kill him.
That is very true, and as well, we can't wait to see if Iconic will have some impact there as well. But we are taking a look here at Learning Brain as well with the Aatrox in the jungle.
That is the case. Again, it's a very strong pick at the moment. It's still very aggressive. Some of that early game aggression is a little less valuable at the moment. The Aatrox still just an absolute top tier champion. You could take Electrocute, Aftershock. Most likely going to be the Conqueror, though. It's really good for early game dueling. Keeps that sustain up, makes him almost impossible to fight once he hits level 6.
Yeah, I have to agree. But again, with that change, big changes to a lot of these champions, especially Ryze. A lot of his power was scaled a little bit differently, and so we have seen the momentum shift of Ryze's, really trying to power through, hit that level 11, get that massive boost in your ability, power, and everything of the sort. So I'll definitely have to see. I do want to get your opinion here. Looking at these champions, just going down the list here, who do you have to give it to for game number 1?
It's a tough one to manage right now. I think in terms of meta, purely speaking, in that particular case, First Blood Crusades with this Aatrox, with this Lucian, have very, very good ways to start the game off well and to snowball into the later stages. But it's just so hard to bid against the 5v5 team fight of Supernova. You're talking, you have Yasuo, you have Gragas, those two are amazing. And then talk about late game scaling Kai'Sa alongside the Rakan with only the Poppy to try to disengage. If they get to the 20-25 minute mark and there isn't massive damage done to their team already, I think they take it pretty easy.
All right, well, you heard the prediction there first, so we will be getting into game here very shortly, and I can't wait to see what happens again. This is Supernova, who's sitting at the top of the ranks here, so they're looking to defend their title, or not their title, but defend their spot. But before we get into game for game number 1, I do want to talk about one of our awesome sponsors, Kono. Kono works with the world's best designers, inventors, and makers to bring you some of the best gaming peripherals around. Kono have been huge supporters of us here at Upsurge and have made generous contributions to our prize pools. If you need to find a new keyboard and more for your setup, we can't recommend anyone better than Kono. For more information, head over to kono.store to check out all that they offer. And so while you're doing that, we will go to a short commercial break, and we'll be right back with game number 1 between Supernova and First Blood Crusaders. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to game number 1 between the First Blood Crusaders and Supernova. We have on the blue side, Wolf Skull Rider on that top lane, Learning Brain in the jungle, Sim in that mid lane, Spooky at ADC, and Sonatic on support for First Blood Crusaders.
Yeah, and on the red side, we have Pie Cake Lord sitting in the top lane, Iconic in the jungle, Sudsy in the mid lane, Value at the ADC position, and Gweiss in the support role.
And this is looking to be shaping up to a very interesting game, I would say, solely based on what it means. We do have a short pause here, but just looking at it overall, with Supernova sitting at the top, they are secured for the playoffs, but this still has implications for seeding as well as First Blood Crusaders even making it into the playoff.
Yeah, that is the case. Winning is absolutely imperative for First Blood Crusaders. They don't want to rely on other teams having success or not having success in some way. They have it in their own hands right now. If they take a win, then they can get into playoffs. But certainly, losing this game would mean they have to count on some other people, and nobody ever wants.
Not at all. So we are looking towards that starting setup here. And as we do have a reconnection here, I want to just take a look at it because, again, I feel the jungle pathing is going to be imperative here. Because Iconic wants to get Sudsy ahead, which we have seen Sudsy work fantastically with multiple different junglers before. And, Iconic, they've been running the town. And so do you think we're going to see an early level 2, level 3 gank here coming out of Iconic as soon as possible?
Yeah, I think putting this Rise behind, especially now with the power shift that he's received, would be it's crippling not only to him, but getting the Yasuo and the Gragas ahead also means that their mid-game fights, these skirmishes that'll happen in the river, are going to be so much more there favored towards the side of Supernova. So yeah, I would expect Iconic to at least sit around some of these lanes. Specifically, I think Yasuo is a great one to sit on, especially since that Rise root's been taken out. He has no real defense against it.
Yeah, that is very true. And so it's going to be interesting because, again, a lot of his kit doesn't rely so much on items anymore. It's definitely more, hey, I still can level up. I can still be useful, even if the items are not, readily available. So that's another point. Like you said, the sooner you put Rise behind, the more advantages you're allowed to have in the situation. So, like you said, getting him behind early is going to be great. Now, on the other side, with the Aatrox in the jungle, a lot of people would assume that it's quite difficult to do anything.
It would be difficult, especially in a game like this where you don't have tons of gank assist apart from the one Morgana. Rise, again, no real root connection unless you do use your E at least early on. Poppy has to get a perfect angle onto this Karma in order to put her into a wall because he can't stop dashes with that W. So Aatrox, Learning Brain, really has to make his own fortune happen here. He has to make his own plays. I think the best way for him to do it is to try to track this Gragas around, counter gank, try to protect his lanes as best he can, because as this Aatrox, he can absolutely smash 2v2s, 3v3s early. I think it's the most optimal way to play this champion at the moment.
And that's going to be interesting to see if he can keep up because, again, Iconic is running that Predator. So we're going to be seeing someone flying constantly, the big man flying onto the Rift. And in that bottom lane, one more time, I do want to take a look because Value, I believe, did decide to go the lethal tempo, whereas Spooky did go for that, for the press the attack. But on the side, Wise on that Rakan didn't opt for the Aftershock or the Guardian, as we normally see. Instead, went with the Summon Airy, which I think is pretty interesting.
Yeah, this is the typical more Enchanter version. I think he knew when the Lucian got drafted to start with and when Morgana was also locked in that they weren't about to win lane with a Xayah, at least early on. So instead opts for a very safe, very protective laner. This Rakan with his Q, with his E's, can absolutely protect this Xayah from any damage that comes in, alongside stopping ganks from this Aatrox. No real dashes to worry about. So if he hits a W, they can walk out without having to burn summoners every single time. I think it's a good choice. I just think it is punishable, as you said. Having this Airy means that there is no real immediate payoff to having W's, having Q's hit. And so, if they are punished, if this Morgana and Lucian do get ahead, it's going to get compounded all the worse.
And so we get to see if this is going to cause some problems. We are waiting on, I believe, the top laner for Supernova to, get back into the game just real quick. So we'll have to wait and see if he's going to, but we do see the Doran's Ring start for that top lane Karma. I'm not going to be running the refillable pots, which we have seen every so often, but it's not as standard as you would expect. But again, that Kleptomancy Wolf Skull Rider not going to have a very fun time trying to deal with the fact that Pycake Lord, no matter what, will almost always have a gold advantage.
Yeah, I think it's difficult also because some of these champions that run Klepto, things like the Nico or the Kennen, when they are able to poke, it's frustrating, but you can always all in those champions. They're rather squishy in that case. Karma is a lot different of a beast to deal with. She has those shields, the speed ups to get her to run away, and then that ult W, the empowered W, gives her so much health back and roots you in place. It is ridiculously frustrating to deal with the sustain that a Karma can bring on top of getting massive gold from his Kleptomancy. I do think there needs to be jungle pressure up there. I think they just have to be creative with how they apply it.
Mm. And so depending on where he starts, do you think, because we do have basically a soccer lineup here, or a safe trench line for both these teams, do you think we're gonna get a same size start, or do you think we might see some vertical jungling coming out here?
I think that depends on whether they have information on where Gragas wants to start. So if they see he's on the top side on his red buff immediately, I think that it could be good for Aatrox to work his way from the red side up to the blue side so he can get a gank onto Karma in the solo lane. But if he doesn't see the Gragas, I think starting blue is a better option because you would expect him to start. Then he can find a duel in the later stages of the game. His Rise will have lane priority with the new E, allowing him to push the wave a little bit faster. And Lucian and Morgana should also have lane priority. So when he runs into Gragas on the bot side river trying to get the scuttle, he should have plenty of priority to take that fight.
Mm. Yeah, that is going to be exactly what they're thinking about, and especially with a long pause here, it definitely wears on the mentality a little bit, right? Thankfully, this is at the beginning of the game because it's not something that is in the middle, say right after a team fight or right before a huge team fight. This is more a starting period. You're able to kind of collect your thoughts. Maybe run down the summoner spells again. Take a look and see who has what and make sure you're prepared for it. But looking at it overall, do you think this pause timer will have some issues and kind of force their mental game a little bit, just due to the fact that, again, this means that it's now a prolonged series already.
So, it already wore on the mental of Spooky. He threatened to riot if they didn't play. But certainly, I think it's a double-edged sword. If you're comfortable coming into a game, I think it can apply a lot more mental stability. So you come into a game as the team that's favored. The more break you have, the more you can consider, hey, we are the dominant one. Supernova probably getting a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more jokey in some of the comms, that kind of thing. Whereas if you're on the side of somebody like First Blood Crusade, they have to win this game to get into playoffs. They're a lot more stressed. So in this, early stage when you're waiting through this pause, you're thinking about, what can I do in lane? What are we going to do tactically? How are we going to win this game? It just keeps pressing on you and on your mental. I think they just need to stay relaxed and they need to play their game. And a pause timer like this does detract from that.
Yeah, it does. So we are still waiting for Piecake Lord. I do believe he is having some technical issues. So we hopefully will get an update on that soon. But again, I do want to talk about it, though, on the other side of the coin here in this group stage, we do see a New Hope, and I believe Dawn Esports going at it just right along parallel to us. So something I wanted to point out is, if First Blood Crusaders lose this matchup, they're going to be the next big fans of Dawn Esports.
Yeah, that they will. That would actually confirm them for playoffs. That's the biggest fans of that team. Obviously, they are winless, if I'm correct. So you'd be very that's at least a little hard press. They would be fans, but it might be a little bit difficult for them to take that win. But certainly, I think they can't think about that. They can't think about the other game that's going on right now. They need to keep it up on this one.
We'll definitely have to see. And that's always interesting, talking about who's getting into playoffs, who's bouncing on what, right? And I do want to think about, Supernova, if they lose this game, or if they lose the series, you're talking about how there's not as much pressure, but getting that first seed and moving into the playoff position at that number one seed guarantees that you'll be playing against the second best team in each of the other groups. There are 3 other divisions, so a solid 8 teams in the playoff area, and it can be sometimes, a little bit worrisome if you do get a little bit too lax right before playoffs.
Yeah, I think there's a big dilemma between that. So, obviously you want to be winning and you want to be on this big win streak, have this momentum coming into playoffs, take the number 1 seed, all of that. That's all well and good. And every team wants that. But there's the flip side of it, which is that if you're going undefeated, you haven't lost yet. You haven't learned from a mistake yet. You haven't made those mistakes that cost you that you have to learn from. So you come into some of these games expecting to dominate, expecting to win really, really well. And if somebody comes out with a new strategy, something that you've been doing wrong that you've overlooked, it can cause you to start to break. It's happened with it happens with teams, happens with players all the time through every level of the game. And so losing a game isn't always the worst thing in the world, because sometimes it gives you clarity on what you need to work on.
Yeah, it really does. And it's terrifying as well, because if it happens right before, a massive playoff run, you have to sit there and think, oh gosh, this is not the best time to have your entire team start faltering at that starting line, right? Or, starting faltering at the start of the race. I'm very sorry. On the flip side, though, if you have started off, very rocky, say on this, 3-2 setup, or even the 2-3 for A New Hope, if you are able to make playoffs, that has to feel good as well, losing those early games, but coming in strong towards the latter part of the series or the season.
Yeah. Just depends on where you can pull some of this inspiration from, whether it is, like you said, from winning and being dominant, or just coming back from what expected to be a loss, coming back from a good season and really just sneaking into playoffs at the last second. It does give you momentum in a lot of different ways. I all of this is well and good. I really want this game to start back up, because I'm super antsy right now.
I know. What for you? What lane are you going to be watching the most? Because I mean, all these teams have star players, right? Iconic, Sudsy, Value are 3 top priorities, as well as Piecake Lord. He's one of the best top laners, if not the best top laner, or disputed top laner in this in the Upsurge Premier League, right? So for you, what lane are you specifically wanting to watch to really either steamroll the game or have a major impact?
So I think for the side of First Blood Crusade, their bot lane is what's going to start the game off right for them. Having a Lucian and a Morgana with the capability of steamrolling, especially the Xayah Rakan, which have to wait a lot longer when they get oppressed to get into the game. That's where I would keep my eyes for at least that team specifically. On the opposite side, I want to see Piecake Lord really destroy this lane. He's got Karma, he's got Kleptomancy, he's got all the tools to be this gold, just drilling machine. I want to see him do it. But when it comes down to pure lane priority, I want to see Learning Brain versus Iconic. I think it's what's going to determine the fate of this matchup, because Aatrox needs to defend these laners that do scale a bit later into the game, Poppy and Ryze. Whereas Iconic, if he can get this Karma even further ahead, if he can get his Yasuo ahead, these mid-game skirmishes are going to absolutely steamroll for the side of Supernova.
All right, so we've touched on the most important aspect, the primary lane, but where do you think are the weak points as we do jump back into the game here? Thank you so much for waiting with us through that immense pause as we just get into a minute in the in-game area. But I do want to ask, what do you think is the most susceptible lane here? We talked about the strong points, but what lane do you think is the weakest link here?
Yeah, I do think that Ryze is the weakest lane for the side of First Blood Crusader. That's nothing to speak against Sim. I just think that Ryze, without access to the root immediately to prevent ganks from happening, and without any sort of cleanse to try to take away any CC, not that Gragas or Yasuo have anything that can be cleansed away, but his job is a lot harder. He has to play a lot more passively. Really has to work to maintain his mana bar as well to ensure that he has the lane file. On the opposite side, I do think that I've been saying Karma is dominant and that it's impossible to gank her. But this Karma is gotta get ahead, because if she doesn't, it's going to be difficult for Piecake Lord to make an impact other than just throwing ult shields on the team. So if he kind of falters, or if he even gets behind, it could be a lot of difference.
Yeah, and we're sitting here, minute 57, minute 58, minute 59, just caressing that 2 minutes as laners come into the lane. Finally, we get to see some action running around. But like you said, Piecake Lord needs to get that strong advantage, and we saw both junglers start on that top side, although Learning Brain did decide to go for a little different, but we see the immediate Dark Binding into immediate Ignite as well, so Gwai is taking a lot of damage, but not blowing any summoners.
As you said, no summoner is burnt, really, really good. The Ignite burnt from the side of Morgana. Try to aggress onto him. No defensive summoner with that area, but still could still get aggressed on, has that half a health bar so far.
And I do like how Value and Gwais are dancing in between the minions. It is one of the most basic ways to deal with the Morgana. Try and balance the wave in between you and the Morgana, you know, don't allow yourself to get bound very easily, but we do see Aatrox walking around here. Good binding actually lands on the value, but a good knockup as well on Weiss. And again, this bottom lane of Supernova, actually, they might even turn it around. A flash going out of Synotic, has to run away, and now Spooky is on the damaging side. Good binding lands one more time. Value having to stop in his tracks. It's going to be potions being burned, but no summon is burned on Spooky's side. And a failed gank attempt by Learning Brain.
This is what I talked about with Vice. You're talking, this is the Rakan pick. He is here to keep the Xayah protected as humanly possible. You saw it right there. His W completely interrupted Learning Brain's ability to follow up on the Morgana Q, and then the aggression back in.
Yeah, and now Learning Brain is unfortunately having to flash away at his own red buff. So Supernova, only 3 minutes and 40 seconds in, putting on the heat in the enemy jungle.
Yeah. This is a product again of this bot lane play. Okay, now nothing gonna come here.
Ooh, and a solid play right there. You didn't even get a chance to finish up your sentence there. I'm so sorry, my Rebel. But again, a solid play there. Iconic and Weiss both burning the flash, able to knock out the black shield as well, securing first blood for themselves.
Yeah, I cut it out myself actually. We'll see if this aggression No, okay. Yeah, again, this was all a product of this bot lane gank because it was played so well by Value and Vice. Iconic was able to walk in, burn the flash from Learning Brain, then wrap all the way around it, able to follow up on some aggression from these two. Well played by the bot lane from the side of Supernova.
It was, and Sudsy as well. Now that Ryze and Yasuo have just had time to free play in that mid lane, we're seeing Sudsy really put on the guns here. Another root goes down. Pyke just bullying Wolf Skull Rider as hard as possible, getting so many stacks of the Kleptomancy down.
Yeah, and again, if he wants to use that ult W and get some sustain back, he will be back to basically over half health. This is the issue. If you're playing this Poppy, you want to aggress over and over again, try to get something back, try to put some damage down so you can all in with your jungler, but it just doesn't work against Karma. This is the frustration you have to deal with. He's been making a decent job of it. He's keeping up in farm pretty well, but you know, this just gets worse and worse as the game continues.
Now we see Synotic actually on a ward there. Synotic having to use Black Shield on himself, but still taking a decent chunk of damage. And remember, whenever the lovers do is on the field, both Xayah and Rakan get the Feather Storm. Or not the Feather Storm, but they are allowed to have that solid deadly plumage that adds on an extra bit of damage that surprises a lot of people.
Yeah, and Weiss with this, he has the Frostfang upgrade, and he's gone for Q-Max first. This is so that he can break the Morgana shield faster. If he's able to break that shield, CC can follow up through the rest of it. It doesn't even have to be his, it could be the Xayah root. And then they can aggress onto this squishy Morgana. I like the adaptation from Weiss. It's not always what you do. I want to see Synotic upgrade his E.
Oh my lord, but I don't even think he's able to, as he just gets hard jumped on. 4-man gank once again in this bottom side, and Supernova applying the pressure as hard as they can, taking multiple tower plates as well. So the team is on the way though for first blood. Crusaders trying to say that they want to respond, but again, Supernova already showing outstanding macro play.
That they are. And again, this is the one lane that should be super aggressive for First Blood Crusaders. This is the Morgana and the Lucian, the early game duo. They just keep getting aggressed on over and over again. They're losing constantly. And it's just, now the lane that is supposed to be strong is now your weak lane. Then you have Karma sitting in the mid or top lane, basically untouched. Then you have Sudsy destroying the Ryze in the mid lane, and Iconic is all over the map, and we haven't seen Learning Brain much yet. So,
yeah, and here we go. Pyke Lord eats the Keeper's verdict, but I don't think that's going to matter. More damage goes down. Flash for flash, but Full Rider takes too many tower shots, but that's going to be the belly slam. One more auto attack. Iconic there with the gank to clean it up.
Like I said, he's everywhere this map. He's all over. He's already been, I think, involved in all 4 of the kills that have come through. Now, just the 3, but still, very well played by him, catching that last aggression there. You know, Wolf Skull Rider probably could have gotten that kill had it not been for Iconic coming up and protecting his top.
Ooh, nice root goes down. They're looking to get Sudsy, but he just dashes right out of anything that Learning Brain throws at him. And you're starting to see the forced nature of what First Blood Crusaders are having to do here.
That was super clean by Sudsy. I don't even know if there's a better way to analyze that. He was just, that was as perfectly as he could have played that Yasuo, throwing up the shield, blocking some of the damage. That immediate. Oh!
Yeah, immediate binding into immediate lockdown. We do see another fight in the jungle, though. Weiss and Value have found Learning Brain, and Learning Brain goes down to Value. The feathers are just too strong. Good knockback from Gragas there. Sononic taking a lot of damage, but Weiss is looking for it. Oh! Big chunk once again, but Sononic is able to walk away with his life.
Very, very close. Again, Iconic being around where he needs to be, trying to find people. And then,
yeah. Another fight, and another fight in the bottom side as well. Good flash, Spooky, able to stay away from the roof, but that's under a tower dive, so Value and Weiss do have to leave. Flash for flash on that bottom side, but Spooky also losing the heal.
Absolutely. And Iconic also sitting on this bot side of the map in case he wants to, prep for a dive. They do have control of the bottom side of the map at the moment and quite a few wards in the jungle, so they could look to Infernal Drake. I think that's what they're prepping for. They're pushing this wave up, trying to get that, especially with Morgana's back. So, they're taking some of these plays, some of these skirmishes that they're doing, and they're turning it into new macro objectives, into good back timings. It's a fantastic performance here from Supernova.
And looking down the lanes here, we already see a grand total, I believe, of 5 plates taken. That is a solid, I believe, 800 gold extra in the pockets of Supernova, so has to feel good for them. Their early game pressure has definitely garnered some success. Surprisingly enough, though, 9 minutes, 20 seconds in, no Infernal Drake taken off the map. One of the most, if not the most important dragon.
We do see a lot of players posturing towards this Drake with some wards in the inventory, so I think we might be prepping. One of them is they're trying to get vision control from this river. I think we might be gearing up for a fight here soon.
Yeah, very close. Yeah, just a little bit. They say, we'll just keep clearing vision. We don't really want to deal with a 5-0 team right now that have about a 5K lead on them as well, and so that has to be quite disheartening.
Yeah, couple that with, I think, so Supernova, I think, could set this up if they wait for High Cake Lord's teleport. There'd be no response from the Poppy. Sorry, I'm just waiting for aggression because I know they like to fight pretty constantly.
No, you're fine. Keep talking, man.
Yeah, they wait on High Cake Lord's teleport to come back up, and then I think they have plenty of pressure all over the map in the mid and bot lane. Oh. Now we gotta fight it.
Yeah, yes we do. Iconic fighting the jungler as well, but an immediate hop in from Value, and Weiss immediately secures 2 more, but on that side, Learning Brain has collected a kill for himself. He is master right now, but double kill for Value. There is still dueling, and here we go. Ultimate has been popped. World Ender now going to be taken down. That's going to be 2 for 2, but that is going to be the cleanup as Value collects an early quadra kill less than 11 minutes into the game.
Oh, terrifying. That's a Xayah that's fed very, very heavily now. It's frustrating. It was a good response there. I think Sim and Learning Brain were finally able to find some aggression, trying to counteract what was going on for Iconic there. But instead, they just ended up finding themselves on the back end of counter-aggression by the rest of the team. Sudsy follows up his mid laner, so really, really well done there. Value just completely spiked this game into oblivion. He's going to come back with an Essence Reaver at least, and he's ridiculously strong right now.
He really is. And to account for a 6-0-1 and to put it into a little bit of perspective, we're looking at a grand total of, I want to say, 2.5k solely in the pockets of Value over Spooky. That's nuts.
Yeah, that's a ridiculous amount of gold for this point in the game. That's literally like almost an entire item at 11 minutes. Like, that is terrifying levels of advantage. Couple that with like Karma is devastating top lane. You're talking what, like 800 gold lead just by sitting in this lane, no real kills to speak of. And then Iconic is keeping up in farm with the aggression he's put on the map. Supernova is cleaning up right now.
Really are. And Rift Herald being called out here was taken by Learning Brain, so they are going to try and work on that top side, but Dragon taken in response. Honestly, that might be a little bit better side, but we see a 5-man stack on this top side. Binding actually goes out and lands. High Cake Lord walked into it, has to flash under the tower. Colin goes out to try and pull it just a little bit. The drawback is in, but High Cake Lord survives. Side of First Blood Crusaders are hoping to pressure this down, collect the plates as quickly as possible, and get themselves back on the map.
Yeah, It's crazy. So a lot of them took quite a bit of damage, so I don't think they can just completely snowball this into multiple towers. Mid is the response, and then bot lane actually pushed to buy value, so we could see 2 towers here in response for just this top side because they committed so much to make sure it worked.
Oh, here we go, though. Keeper's Verdict keeps him alive just for a little bit longer, and a nice flash out. Wolf Skull Rider able to sustain just a little bit longer, and value taken actually quite low. Took 2 tower shots. Next on the list is Iconic, taken down below half health, so... Poppy doing the best she can to secure that bottom tower and make sure it's not going to fall.
Yeah, quite a bit of damage.
Oh, we can't even talk about it. You were just going in, and immediately a nice job by the rest of First Blood Crusaders to help out their jungler. But that's the scary part. Remember, he doesn't have a get-out-of-jail-free card anymore. Learning Brain has to get a takedown if he wants to help. And a Morgana Binding does land. It does fully connect. No, it doesn't, as Wolf Skull Rider is here to help out. 1,000 gold shutdown to the Poppy, and that's going to be a return. But I think 1,000 gold for 300, he'll definitely take it.
That they will. Really good find there by Wolf Skull Rider and Sonotic. Got a little aggressive, was value. I think he walked a little too far forward. And getting hit with that binding was his final doing, too. Still, good pick up there. 1,000 gold on your Poppy, you're going to take that any day of the week. Certainly would have preferred it on Rise or Lucian, but you got to start somewhere, and that's the best place to do it.
Yes, it is. And as we just take 14 minutes into the game here, we are closing in on what looks to be a 5.4k lead for the side of for Supernova, and honestly, they look completely in control right now.
That they do. Couple that with, again, this is the team fighting composition. They don't have any pure like frontline tank, but they have very, very good synergy in pure 5v5, coupled also with really good wave clear with Yasuo Tornadoes, Static Shift, and then also Xayah Feathers. It makes it so difficult for a team, you know, with First Blood Crusaders. Coming back is going to be a tall task.
It really is. And this is just shy of 15 minutes, 14, 45, 46. It's just extremely pressuring and overbearing, really. I have no other way to put it, because every lane for them is just constantly ahead, it feels, and it's just painful.
Not only that, yeah, the rotations have also been very, very clean from the side of Supernova. That last minute, there are some pretty good rotations from the side.
Oh.
You see aggression here in the top lane?
Yeah, no, actually that bottom side Spooky able to collect a kill for himself there. And that's going to be pretty solid, getting a kill, but that's only his first death right there. And that's going to be the quickness locked as well as the grand entrance, and that's going to be Sonotic going down. Meanwhile, Suzzy says, "You're dead, Sim." Sim goes down a quick 2 kills, and that's going to be 4-12 in favor of Supernova.
Aatrox and Lucian are a lot of the early game strength of this team, so both of them being on the bottom side of the map just opened up the rest for the side of Supernova. You saw that, 2 kills, now pushing mid lane and top lane, probably going to get at least this mid tower, if not more. Just so much is being traded over, so First Blood can just try to make plays happen. It's just not working.
It really isn't. And looking at that tower difference, 4 towers is going to be 5 towers to 2. All the outer towers might be going down. Looks like Wolf Skull Rider and Sonotic want to run a little bit of interference, but I don't think they're going to be able to hold. They are still chasing, though. This could be exactly what they want, but they are fighting the Lovers duo. A nice Keeper's Verdict does root them in. Wolf Skull Rider just gets deleted off the map. The feathers are too strong, and that's going to be a teleport as well from Piecake Lord. And he's going to be running him down. A nice Realm Warp to bring in 1 member, but he's right into the middle. Once again, Sonotic not in the right place. A 2-inch flash is going to mean he's in the susceptible spot. And there it is, Iconic going all the way in. He has to go golden, though. He's still fairly squishy. Feathers collect 1 more kill for them. Pulling doesn't catch anyone, and there it is. Another nice entrance in. That's going to be Spooky taking kind of low, and Value collecting it 1 more time. Nice recall catches no one. But Piecake Lord collects his first kill of the game. A nice shield comes out after a flash from Spooky. And after a hectic fight, no one down on Supernova's side, but 2 dead after a slightly Fiesta-like in-game.
The whole time there was no Yasuo there. Sudzi was on the bot side of the map pushing this in, just got bot tower as well on top of all of this play that just happened. There was some good little micro plays in there for the side of First Blood Crusade. I saw Black Shield do a really good job of keeping somebody from being blown away by the Gragas ultimate, but just over and over again, constant engagement. Icon did it. Value did it with his ultimate. We saw Gweiss do it. couple of times just going in one by one, finding these multi-person engages, just made it so difficult for this fight to be broken by either side. And of course, Supernova walks away the champion.
And you also have to put in the fact that Supernova have built a strong team comp solely based on the fact that they have double shielders. And on the side of First Blood Crusaders, we haven't seen that tax come out yet. No Grievous Wounds to come out, no Shred just yet. Everyone's still trying to build their core components, so that double shielding is way more effective right now than it normally would.
Yeah, that it is. It makes it very difficult for this team. And then also, not only just the shielding, you're talking about the sustain from like Karma, Gragas, and like Rakan coming out. That's also something you need to invest into Grievous Wounds. The best person to do it would probably be Spooky, but he's so low range, it's difficult for him to find targets to apply it to in the first place without putting himself in very dangerous situations. See if like right now. Oh!
Yeah, very nice flash into chains, but that's still not going to collect anyone as Value collects his 9th kill of the game. It was such a good engage. Sonatic did everything he could, but again, at the end of the day, he's just a squishy support and pays for trying to make a play.
See if they want to follow up with Learning Brain. Looks like he's going to walk away. I want to give so much of that play to Twice, though, actually. Okay, they are going to hunt down Learning Brain.
Yeah, they are. Learning Brain is going to be dead, going back to that gray screen. Okay, Lord, a nice flash showing Sonatic how it's.
Yeah, absolutely. Finding him at the end, just a little bit of cake on it. No Baron up yet, so they don't have to worry about that on the side of First Blood Crusaders. But still, you saw what just happened. There were 4 people there looking for aggression onto 2 members from the side of Supernova, and a huge outplay by both of them. Again, I want to give tons of props to Weiss. He played it about as flawlessly as he could have on the Rakan.
Oh, and just an immediate tower dive. Sudsy showing off some skill there. Wolf Skull Rider showing that he wants to try and get a return kill. He does get the shut down. That still means a nice solo kill collected by Supernova.
Yeah, somebody needs to give Wolf Skull Rider a mop on this Poppy skin, because I think he's cleaned up 2,000 gold bounties so far in this game alone. Still, it's just slim picking. They're just finding what they can get around the map, finding these very small like margins of error being committed by Supernova, but it's just not enough to keep them relevant.
It really hasn't, and to couple with the fact that Supernova have collected their second Infernal Dragon, which, if you're the side of Supernova, you love that RNG. On the other side, you probably hate the fact that there's RNG, as we see another fight coming out here. Piecake Lord getting caught out. That's just going to be an immediate kill for Learning Brain, his 2nd of the game, who he's still yet to complete a major core item. But Baron being started up as well. 3-man Baron. Such a solid play here. They are macroing their way through this entire game. That's going to be the Realm Warp to help collect a couple more. A nice knockback is going to save his support as Iconic makes the big brain play and keeps his team alive.
Yeah, perfectly played. Oh no, Weiss, no!
He did so much and yet he falls. Learning Brain collecting a 3rd. Oh, a nice binding coming out, and the Featherstorm has to be used automatically. A nice recall actually collects an 11th kill of the game, and Sudsy collects his 4th. 4 for 1 off of a spotty engage, and that looks so good, but turned out so terrible.
Yeah, that was a bait. That's what you'd call it. If you're Value at the time, as a bait being hit by the binding. Well played. Finding the Baron off the back of aggression onto Piecake Lord. That's the 2nd time they found quite a bit of macro play off the back of Piecake Lord, getting aggressed on by more than 1 member. They're using the Karma very, very well as the split pusher in the game. I think it's perfectly amplifying their strategy. And then they're just so far ahead, it doesn't matter what fight they're taking. They're just winning it no matter what.
They really are, and even though they have close to a 14k lead, oh, here we go. Oh, an immediate chop down. Value collects that double kill, but he is going to go down for his sins. Wolf Skull Rider on the backside is going to try and hold, but a nice solid play from Iconic forces out Spooky. He goes down as well, but Yasuo collects Wolf Skull Rider. That's going to be a double kill. That's going to be the ace. And Supernova, in under 25 minutes, say we will take game number 1.
Yeah, Yeah, that's a devastating win right there for Supernova. Basically, every single lane, every single player was doing their part, doing an amazing job. Their macro was clean and on point at basically every point in the game. Their warding was amazing. Just top to bottom, this looks like the cleanest team. The very, very cleaner of the two teams.
Yeah, I would definitely agree here. But that is one of the most impressive games coming out of Supernova. At least I've seen so far of them. I'm sure they've had some faster, but still impressive nonetheless. It was very clean cut watching them surgically get leads everywhere, from top to mid to bot lane, and to the jungle rotations as well that put Learning Brain behind.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that was the big part of the game that really went well for Supernova, or poorly for the side of First Blood Crusade, was Learning Brain is on this Aatrox. He's on a very early game duel-focused champion, and he never found duels, and he never really found ganks. It was always Iconic. He was the one proactive. He was the one making plays around the map, saving his laners, and just all over the place, getting his bot lane ahead that definitely shouldn't have been ahead in the early stage of the game. Basically won it for them. You're talking 12 kills, 14 kills, my apologies, on the Xayah. You can't win against that.
No, you really can't. And so, as you were saying, that jungle side, you really put pressure on it. It comes down to the junglers who can put the pressure. What do you think needs to change? I know I'm fairly certain you're going to probably say the jungle pick, but what can they sub it out for?
I think what they need to do is take aggressive picks away from Iconic. So they need to take Gragas off the table, maybe Lee Sin off the table, things like that. Try to lower his pressure. I didn't think Wolfskull Rider did a terrible job into the Karma most of the game. I thought there were some pretty good plays. Sim had a couple of good roams on the rise. Obviously, a little more agency from an earlier game champion would be nice. I would like to see more early game from the side of First Blood Crusade in general. I think that's what they were really lacking. Try to put the pressure on Supernova to start with instead of being aggressed on and then just being on the back foot.
All right. Well, we will be going into game number 2 here very shortly to see if Supernova can clinch out the win, or if First Blood Crusaders will be able to make it back and force it to a game number 3. But before we throw it over to a short intermission to get ready for game number 2, I do want to talk about our open qualifiers that Upsurge Esports will be hosting for those that are looking to test their mettle against teams such as these. Upsurge Esports is giving everyone, experienced or not, the chance to compete for a prize pool of $3,000, as well as an opportunity to qualify for Riot Games LCS Scouting Grounds qualifiers. This 2-day tournament will be on August 3rd and 4th, but registration is open now. There is no entry fee, and anyone can enter. So strap in and get ready for the Upsurge Esports Open Qualifier. We'll be right back with game number 2, so don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to game number 2 between Supernova and First Blood Crusaders. Supernova, after an extended pause, came back and pretty much dominated from start to finish.
That they did. It was really, really well played by them. Again, they looked incredibly clean in just about every aspect of the game. Not shocking to see the Karma taken off the table too. High Cake Lord completely commanded the top lane.
And again, this time around, we do see the Lux, Aurelia, and Karma banned away by First Blood Crusaders, and Supernova banned away the Thresh, Nico, Katarina, which does afford them the Yuumi pickup. So First Blood Crusaders then opt for the Sivir and Aatrox. So very quick picks here.
Two very good picks. I think they're two of the strongest champions in the game at the moment, alongside this Yuumi. I'm curious to see whether you want to go Caitlyn with the Supernova. I think it was strong into the Sivir, or at least it's good into the Sivir and scales very well in the late game. Or if they want to go something like Lucian, that just gets super powered by Yuumi in the early game, making it.
And Supernova collect the immediate composition that they did last time, the Gragas Yasuo, locked in and ready to go. And First Blood Crusaders have got to be wondering, will this just be a repeat of game number 1?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to see, if I'm First Blood Crusaders at least, I don't want to put this Aatrox into the Gragas matchup again. It was terrible for them last. Got absolutely outclassed and didn't even compete in the CS department very, very well. So I would like to see them put the Aatrox somewhere else this time, or do something to change up the strategy so that at least it has more agency against this Gragas.
And now the Pyke ban is pretty surprising to me, considering Pyke, if I'm not mistaken, kind of got gutted in the solo lanes here. And with Yuumi already picked, was there a reason to ban out the Pyke?
I'm not so sure. It is possible that they might flex the Yuumi and turn it into the ADC, kind of how Sona works at the moment, where you can throw Sona at the ADC position, but then your support can take the farm for a while. I've seen the same adaptation with Yuumi, where Pyke is your support, or Pyke is the ADC and Yuumi is the support. Either way works. It's a very potent combination, and that wasn't really hurt all that much by this. But I do think that Pyke isn't worthwhile banning, at least at the moment, especially after all the nerfs he just took, even at the support position.
Yes, well, First Blood Crusaders have deemed Pyke, as you said, possibly a problem in that bottom side, but we do see the Ezreal banned away as well. And Supernova this time around ban out the Poppy, saying we don't want to play against that once again, which it did do its job in some of the instances.
You saw into the Karma pick, it really wasn't that bad of a pickup. The champion was working pretty well for what it does. That is a huge pickup for First Blood Crusaders. Sim is like as one trick as a one trick can get with Syndra. I think it's like 350 games of his 400 ranked games are on Syndra right now. This is pure comfort for him.
I mean, it is, and it's also one of the more tricky mid laners into the Yasuo, I feel. Both champions have ways to delete the opponent off the map, and so you have to be careful. That wind wall will be the utmost priority for both the laners. If it's up, that means that, you know, Sim will not have that opportunity, but on the flip side, you know, if it's down, that might be a one-shot potential. Supernova have decided to lock in the Lucian and Mordekaiser, so Mordekaiser making a rain back onto the Rift.
Yeah, I think this is almost as an oppressive a composition as they had last time, if not more so. Yuumi Lucian is an amazing bot lane, even into the likes of the Sivir Morgana. It's very, very early game focused, especially alongside this Gragas. It can do a lot of damage early. As you saw, Gragas Yasuo good. Yeah, the Sejuani lock-in, also a very big pickup here for the side of First Blood.
Yeah, and that is, if you wanted to change things up and you wanted a chance to catch a lot of these opponents, this is how you do it. You have Scatter the Weak, you have Iceborne Tomb, and you have a Dark Binding and Soul Shack. You have everything at your disposal that you can basically shotgun out with On the Hunt from Sivir. The problem is, there's a wind wall.
Yeah, that is a terrifying prospect, at least, to have to deal with. Their composition, as you said, is wildly different than what we saw last time. Sejuani is a lot more passive a jungler, so that style we saw last time could definitely work to his advantage. Sivir is a much better team fighter than we saw last game with the Lucian pickup. And Syndra, of course, as you said, can help with these pickoffs that Morgana can try to obtain. But as you said, the Yasuo win wall, huge. A QSS on Lucian, huge. Mordekaiser is an oppressive lane, like oppressive even into the likes of Aatrox. And so I think this composition from the side of Supernova is what they did last time, and it's the optimization. They're saying, okay, instead of getting a scaling bot lane for some insurance, let's go all in on the early game with this Gragas Yasuo skill, like dueling composition, and let Mordekaiser sit in the side lane and try to let them fight him.
I have to agree with that, and it's also pretty scary because, again, with such a heavy teamfight composition, you don't lock down the Mordekaiser, all of a sudden Sivir might be stolen away in the fight, and you're now dealing with a 4v4 without your primary damage source. So, that will be very tricky for them. But again, Yuumi, I have to touch on, because you already mentioned it. It's such an oppressive lane, and I think a lot of people kind of sleep on the fact that through her W, her attach and detach, you actually gain extra AP and AD.
You can take a champion like Lucian, who isn't considered to scale perfectly into the late game, and you can give him more AD. So you're talking, if Yumi's on him and he has an Infernal Dragon, he goes from being this very, very good late game carry to being like an astonishing one just with low range. And so combine that with like this Yasuo, this Gragas, the amount of forward engage this team has and the amount of follow-up from the rest is just super good. If they can find the engagements they were finding last game, they're going to be over much quicker and much more definitively than we saw.
And now we do see those picks and bans flying thick and heavy. I do want to know if we will see Wolf Soul Rider with this Aatrox go maybe a bit more aggressive summoner, maybe not go the teleport, instead go for the kill potential, especially with the Sejuani on his back now. Learning Brain definitely having a bit more flexibility with the Sejuani if he gets behind.
That is the case. Again, last game we saw the Aatrox was the jungle and then Poppy was the top laner. There's very little gank potential there unless you catch someone completely off guard. With an Aatrox with multiple forms of CC and then the constant lockdown from Sejuani, this is a much better topside topside dueling potential from these two, and I like it a lot better from the side of First Blood Crusade. I think they need to put more pressure earlier in the game. They did it a couple times where they ganked Pie Cake Wood with 2-3 members and got success with it. They just waited way too long for it.
I have to agree. Now, another thing that we haven't touched on too much, though, is Iconic and Sudsy getting their stylized Yasuo Gragas. And obviously, First Blood Crusade have deemed it a misnomer, maybe a little bit further down on the ban list. Do you think this is going to come back to kind of bite them in the butt?
I think it will. We saw what it did last game. I mean, those literally the skirmishes through the entirety of the beginning of the game were astonishing from these two. And Sudsy's ability to push the lane even to a champion like the Rise that has wave clear to early access in the game, he was still able to find the push pressure to allow Iconic to invade on Learning Brain. Now he gets to do it against the Sejuani, and he's fighting into a Syndra, which is a little bit more difficult even than the Rise to have access to that wave clear towards. So I do think that Sudsy's, this Yasuo Gragas combination from these two is going to be even better in this game. Later, it'll be a little bit more difficult. Now you have Morgana Black Shield, you have Sivir Spell Shield, that kind of thing to deal with. But earlier on, when you're finding these skirmishes, it's going to be even more impressive.
All right, and so with game number 1 under our belt, I do want to get your opinion, just based off compositions. If this was a brand new game, who would you be placing your bets on?
I do think it's a very clean, like organized team fighting composition from the side of First Blood Crusade. My issue is I don't know that they actually have a response to Lucian if he gets like a Mikhails from the Yuumi or if he has a QSS. Like, how are you going to stop him apart from like an errant E from like Syndra? And even that can be windwalled. And then you have instantaneous engage with the Gragas and the Yasuo on at least 2 members. I think it's just too much for the side of First Blood Crusade to deal with. If they can get this game to go longer than last time, if they can get it to that 20, 25 minute mark, they, I think, will be the ones with the scaling advantage, with the 5v5 advantage. But getting to that point unscathed, or at least, in fighting shape, is going to be the difficulty.
All right. Well, we have gotten that prediction down, and I will have to agree this is an uphill fight for First Blood Crusaders. But before we go into game number 2, I want to talk about one of our other fantastic sponsors, Scuttle Scrims. If you're looking for a fast, reliable way to find scrim partners for your team to practice against, then Scuttle Scrims is your new best friend. Scuttle Scrims is a reliable and easy application that allows you to quickly search for active teams of all ranks and skill that are looking for a reliable practice partner as well. Simply log into their website, search your specified ranks, and request a scrim. For more information, visit their website at scuttlescrims.com. We'll be right back with game number 2 between Supernova and First Blood Crusaders to see if this will go into a game number 3 or if this will be a clean 2-0 from Supernova. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to game number 2 between Supernova and First Blood Crusaders. We have on the Rift Supernova on that blue side, hoping to close it out here. And already Barney's going a little bit strong, and Sudsy getting his shield burst right off the bat and an immediate turnaround. So a lot more aggressive in this early game.
Yeah, just finding some poke damage here on both sides. A good Q there from the Yuumi gets a little bit of poke damage on the Spooky. Also gives him some gold, something that the Syndra does not get for hitting that Q onto the end.
Now the question is, does Syndra actually collect the Mana Flow band? Which she is, so that is going to be a nice startup. Again, the sooner you stack the Mana Flow band, the faster you get the overflow, meaning you get an extra mana regen per 5 seconds. It's going to be pretty nice to work with.
Absolutely. You already see this oppressive Yuumi pick just poking out this bot lane. They're both starting about 50 to 100 health lower than they would have originally, although the binding does keep them from coming any closer to the move out there.
I just want to say, getting an extra 6 adaptive force for yourself in your ADC hurts, because that's basically on its own a Doran's Blade or a Doran's Ring. That's ridiculous.
Especially to start the game where all of this, but like even single points of damage are just so imperative to how the lane can operate. Something like that can completely change the way the lane starts.
Very, very true. And we see already laners attempting to pressure in, get that level 2 as quickly as possible. We do see both junglers taking opposite routes, so both of them starting on that blue side. This time around, though, gonna be a little difficult. And Sudsy hitting that level 2, watch the Scout of the Week go, immediately goes in.
See a little bit more aggression there from the Yasuo. He's able to find the Q, wasn't able to find much more. He's able to dash around and with his fleet footwork try to avoid this Syndra like electrocute rocks. She does have a slight advantage, at least until he has that level 3 with the wind wall. Once he gets to that point, he can block some of the damage and it's a little bit easier for him. But until then, she can basically just free auto.
That's really a nice thing for her, but again, you're against Sudsy on this Yasuo, who Yasuos are notorious for getting those quick little pokes in and just not allowing you to do anything about it.
Good trading there into the bot lane as well. The Q and a couple of autos here from the Lucian. Just, bring Spooky even lower than he started in the lane. And it's just, again, this is the Yuumi pick, just being difficult to deal with.
Yeah. But again, both sides of the jungle fairly quiet on that top side. Both players are playing relatively safe. But Wolf Skull Rider is up a little bit in CS, so has to feel pretty good considering what happened last game.
Yeah, absolutely. The Mordekaiser pick is something that's at least a little bit scary to deal with. We see Sejuani up here maybe looking to aggress onto that top lane idol. Yeah,
and already a gank goes up on that top side, but Pyke Lord, that's one of the strongest points about him is he can simply just sustain all the way through it. But here we go. He actually went to ward an immediate flash out. So Learning Brain with that quick gank there collects an early kill. But here we go on that fight in that mid or bottom side. Go to flash out and heal from Spooky. And again, this is starting to be repetitive of game number 1 with that immediate pressure bottom side.
A couple of key differences between these few things. Number 1, they spotted out Iconic before he got up there because they were expecting it, so they're able to walk away. They did have to burn the heal and the flash on the Sivir, but it was well worth not dying this time as opposed to last time they did. The other thing is that Learning Brain was able to get a gank and a flash off of Pyke Lord in response. He was actually ahead in the gank pathing. Last game, there was 0 response from the side of Learning Brain because he got pushed out of his jungle. Well played already. Good adaptions from the side of First Blood Crusaders.
I have to agree with you there, and we already see Wolf Skull Rider, although he had the CS lead for a little bit, he's starting to get pressured out hard in that top side. The damage from Pyke Lord is immense.
Yeah, what's good is also that Learning Brain can actually path back towards topside because he has camps, he has Raptors, and his Krugs still up. So Pyke Lord's pushing this, trying to get some sort of CS lead onto Wolf Skull Rider, but it's not going to work out. He's going to pick up most of these minions, and he's probably going to get repeat ganked. If he doesn't understand that, he might go down. Wolf Skull Rider just has to survive until that happens.
Very much so, and again, Wolf Skull Rider having to back out here, but we do see Iconic actually Coming out with that Predator. He wants to get this kill pretty early on, but remember, he still has Flash available. Nice hit, actually. Iconic found under the tower, and that's going to be first blood to Learning Brain with the counter gank, catching Iconic unaware. And what a solid gank that was, or counter gank, and Wolf Skull Rider played that about as well as he could have, losing only the Flash, collecting an assist for himself. He might be behind a little bit, but getting that nice back without dying, getting a little bit extra gold, and making sure Learning Brain is actually there. That's going to be great. But here we go. High Cake Lord now drawing Learning Brain into the realm of death. That is going to be big damage going down. One more auto attack is needed. He doesn't get it though, as Learning Brain is able to flash away, and now High Cake Lord has to run away instead. Good slaps go down, and Wolf Skull Rider with that last auto attack claims his kill.
Yeah, very, very close on the kill there for Pie Cake Lord. That auto attack, I think, was mid-animation when he got frozen by Learning Brain. The Flash keeps him safe, push him in the brush to allow Wolf Skull Rider to just follow up and get that kill. Such a good play there on the top side of the map from these two. Much different from what we saw last game.
Oh, but here we go. Sudsy actually blocks the Scatter of the Weak and immediately Flash Ignite. Styling on Sim. The potion is not enough. And that's going to be Sudsy going up 1-0.
That was a clean little play by Hay. I love the flash forward into the immediate ignite and then E right back out from under tower. It just looked really fancy. He could have done the same thing by just Eing and flashing out, but that just doesn't look as good.
It doesn't, but it also shows Sudsy's strong knowledge of that matchup. Understanding that Scatter of the Weak is pretty much the only thing that can keep Syndra safe. Especially since Syndra didn't run any defensive spells such as, say, Exhaust or Barrier. You understand that if you get her low, you win that fight automatically. So strong play there from him. Gets a kill, walks right back. Gonna feel really good.
Absolutely. More fighting here in the top lane. Both Conqueror and a lot of sustain out of both top laners. So just dueling back and forth constantly, willing to take some bad trades because they know they will remain healthy after at least a little bit of time. Learning Brain came down here. What looked like he tried to gank, but he found a ward in the brush instead. So he just cleared that.
And here we go. Learning Brain is level 6. That is huge. That's actually going to land onto the side of Supernova. That's going to be a quick kill. Value goes down. Iconic here in this fight, though, is level 6. And actually, belly slams all the way back, but that might have been the best move he's ever made. Double kill going over to the side of Spooky, though, as he goes down, but still not exactly what you want. Now we actually see Gwais all on his own here. Final Chapter is used, actually able to stun out under the tower, and he actually catches a second. Sim gets hit as well, and that's going to be a self-heal. Keeps Gwais alive just barely. He is able to collect 2 kills off of a horrendous tower dive by First Blood Crusaders.
Okay, so I want to start this off by saying I don't know what Value was doing to start that fight because he just kind of stood there and just tanked the Sejuani on. So before I say anything about the rest of that fight, just I don't know what happened there. Good response. I think they were trying to set up a play with the Gragas and it just didn't work out because the Black Shield bought enough time. And then as you said, very poor tower dive. I don't know where their brains went. They've been playing this game so well. Out of nowhere, Learning Brain just loses his mind, stays under the tower, gets rooted by the ultimate that last chapter, and then also, I think it was Spooky that also went. No, it was Sim. Also followed him under the tower, tries to get something, but that last auto attack protecting Gwais long enough through the ignite, protecting him from being killed as well. 2 kills onto the Yuumi. She is now the carry.
Oh, but Pie Cake Lord with a nice flash. I don't think that's going to be enough, as the drawback is there, but that's going to be the stun going down. Pie Cake Lord trying to run away is going to be able to hold himself steady with the shield. A nice little bait here. Rest of the team is there. Iconic trying to come in to help out. He has to immediately flash away. It's going to be a strong play once again coming out of First Blood Crusaders, trying to make up lost ground.
Yeah, a couple of different times I've seen Pie Cake Lord use that the E in a very creative way. Throwing it in front of him so it pulls everything back behind him when he's running away means that he buys more space for himself. We'll see this little.
Oh, nice finding, goes out, lands, but the final chapter keeps everyone else at bay. Value going a little bit strong, and this time around he does not have the solid lead that he did last time, so definitely gonna hope that he can start getting on a roll once again.
much different game from what we saw last time. Still an advantage for Supernova to some extent. But again, they are the earlier team composition. They're the one with the Lulu, the Yumi. They are the one with the Mordekaiser. Mordekaiser scales pretty well, but certainly it's also pretty early. Twice does.
Oh, Gwice, you were in the wrong place, my friend. Immediately shut down there. That's going to be the scout of the week in that mid lane. Immediately, Sim gets ulted into oblivion. Taken out right there. Not even going to be able to contest it.
Yeah, not even going to be able to prevent the kill from going over to Sudsy with that stat of the week. We'll see more fight up here.
Yeah, but here we go. Down goes into the death realm. There we go, Pike Lord trying to do his best, trying to get all the damage, and he does. One more slam is going to do it. No, he is going to dance away, and he's going to try and walk his way out. This time, Pike Lord is going to try and get the damage. He gets a huge hit on Learning Brain, and now he's going to try and walk in, but there it is! The Q smash from the man of metal himself collects a solo kill in a 2v1 situation. This is why you don't let Mordekaiser get through.
That was terrifying, man. Multiple times he's taken these 2v1s, and he just tried to win them himself. This is the first time we saw it finally succeed with a couple of really good shots there.
And more fighting in that bottom side. Iconic getting a nice belly slam, but Spooky having both summoners up definitely feels safe.
That he does. We do see quite a bit of wards. We got 3 control wards in the river here from the side of Supernova. It would be nice for them to try to get this dragon, a Cloud Drake where the likes of the Yasuo and the Gragas really help the engage. And then Mordekaiser, of course, has no real gap closer, so any mobility he can add onto his kit is absolutely beneficial. You know, Sonatic coming here to try to clear out some.
That is true, and we are looking at a Rift Tail take coming out of Learning Brain right now, trying to get an early aggressive stance on those global objectives. I like this play here, but this could still cause a few issues if it's not used at the right time. Again, Supernova have definitely started climbing their way back in. Here we go, a nice slow onto Sonatic, waiting for that binding to go out. Pulling gonna be used as well as that final chapter, and out goes Yumi trying to get that last pick. He does get it with that solid little poke. Has to feel bad getting chased down by that.
Yeah, well played by that bot lane. Again, this is the oppression. The Q is a slow. It's also very long range. The ultimate from Lucian just in range as well because of the slow that kept her in it. And then Sonatic not able to walk away. He had the flash, I believe, during that exchange, just wasn't willing to use it. Thought he could maybe slink away without it, but didn't respect the damage and the CC coming out of those two. And so he goes down for free.
He does. Dragon going down as well. A nice secure there, although it is just an air drake, so not exactly what you were hoping for. But down goes the tower, and that's going to be with all the tower plates as well. But here we go. Iconic going in for that fight. Black Shield as well as Spell Shield will use a 3-man Soul Shackle. That's not going to be enough as Iconic is able to go golden. There we go, another fight in there. Sonatic flashes for the kill, able to pick it up, but Value might just collect it on his own. But there goes Sudsy trying to collect a kill under the tower, but Learning Brain reads it like a book, able to pick it up. Meanwhile, on the bottom side, a 2-for-2 across the map.
Well played. Very close also from the side of Sudsy. If he would have gotten one more auto attack onto Sim, that would have been a kill. Rift Arrow being dropped here in the mid lane should get at least plates off over the next few seconds. I don't know if the whole tower does go down, especially with the rest of the map being controlled by the side of Supernova.
It is very true. We do see the Rift Tail being dropped, but that is a mid lane teleport coming out. Kind of surprising, but that's going to be Pike Lord trying to hold steady. I think that tower might actually fall anyway. So he does actually save it. I believe that's only about 20 HP left.
Yeah, really close. I think there's a possibility, what I might have considered at least, is that because you have the push pressure from the Yasuo with the static ship right now, as well as at least a little bit more wave clear on a couple of other members, they could have let it go down as soon as somebody was outside of turret tower range. I gotta see if this turns. No. Yeah, so they could have let the tower go down when Learning Brain walked away. It would have taken away the local gold while also still giving the tower gold away. It's not as much as you could expect, and it's going to go down eventually anyway. There's no reason to try to protect it unless you're going to be very hell-bent on really trying to protect this tower.
But again, they do hold and they do make sure that that First Blood Crusaders will have to put in a little bit more extra effort to take down their first tower. While the gold advantage has ballooned up to about 3k in favor of Supernova. Not as large as it was last time. Last time, I believe they were up to about 8k. still a solid advantage here for themselves, and they're poised to collect another game off the series.
Yeah, right now Sivir's on her own at the moment. You see that any sort of aggression can still catch her.
Ooh, a nice little barrel actually goes out, got a decent chunk of damage, and this is a... Remember, this is the AP Gragas, so his barrels do hurt. Here we go again, a nice prowling projectile, and that's going to collect it. Value collects himself his second kill of the game. He has paid the QSS tax, so he is going to be dancing his way around, but there it is, a solid cleanup by Learning Brain. They're diving the tower because they know, but there it is, a nice body slam, gets Yuumi to safety, and that's going to be a 2-for-1, even though the tower went down. Amazing job by Iconic to save his support in that fashion. Wolf Skull Rider is going to be the next one on the block. There is a little bit of a collapse on the back end, though. Nice binding actually lands, and that's going to be a flash forward. Wolf Skull Rider is going to collect that, but here we go again, Cyanodic going down as well. Now we get to see another fight breaking out. The prowling projectile does not land. Mordekaiser trying to go over. He actually flashes for it and draws Wolf Skull Rider into the realm of death, but unfortunately the wall's a little too thick. No, he pulls it right back. The plays, look at the moves. What was that?
Sidekick Lord, perfect use of that ultimate right there to keep him trapped in the box. He could only get over the wall, but he couldn't get any further away, and then he just stood there waiting for his inevitable death from the E-cast from the Mordekaiser. Amazing job, amazing use of that ability. Good play all around from Supernova in the end. I think they did come out on top and got a couple of towers in the meantime as well. So well done by them. It was a little scrappy to start with, but certainly brought it back.
They really did, and that is why we say Pike Lord equals, or Mordekaiser I should say, equals immense skill on that part. But to any benefit, Pike Lord has played fantastically. He has drawn so much aggro to that top side as Mordekaiser. He's drawn up Sejuani, I don't know, countless times, and yet he has not lost his tower. He has not lost any pressure. He even has a CS lead. So that just shows not only his own power as a top lane champ, as a top lane player, but the immense pressure that he can put with this champion specifically.
Oh no, Learning Brain just snuck in there at the very end, was able to smite away the red buff from Value. That's
Yep. And now they do collect a little bit of extra gold that is lying around the map, and I do want to say that, honestly, from game number one, this definitely looks like First Blood Crusaders are making an attempt back into this game. They've held somewhat steady. Yes, the gold lead is there, but still, being able to still fight for these objectives, you know, fight for towers and fight for pressure is a huge step up.
Absolutely. I think that Learning Brain has looked a lot better in this one. A couple of the different ganking paths he's had on the Sejuani have been very, very clean, including this one right here.
Oh, a nice pull. Actually drags him back in just on the edge, but that's going to be a return counter gank, and that's going to be a kill going down. That does mean World Ender is going to be active as they flash all the way through. That's going to be another knockout, but Sutsy is going awesomely ham in the back line. Pike Lord does grab Spooky, so that's going to be a one-on-one there, which he does win, and now Pike Lord is there to clean up. The Rylai's is there to slow everyone. He collects a double kill for himself. 4-2-2, and that was a beautiful re-engage off of a solid engage from First Blood Crusaders.
Yeah, again, they're trying to find people to contest for the vision there for Iconic was what baited the entire fight to start with. It's funny because if you want to be anyone in this game, you want to be Gweiss, because he has found multiple targets. You can go on Yasuo, you can be on Lucian, you can be on Mordekaiser. There's so many carries you can just superpower during the process of this game. We saw in this fight, it was Pike Lord just coming in the backside of the fight, taking down multiple members. He's just unstoppable at this moment. And then you also have the 3-kill Yasuo. You got a 3-kill Lucian that's about to be on another item spike. This team gets scarier and scarier. They're about to hit like critical mass, though. I think once they hit this 25-minute mark, 3 items apiece, that's when they get strongest. So if First Blood Crusade can stay this competitive for this long, I think Cyanodic just made a mistake.
Oh man, that is the way to do it right there. But
never mind.
Yeah, that's gonna be it. Here we go once again. Pike Lord in the middle of this entire fight. A nice knockback is gonna secure it. He's gonna get a kill there, but Iconic goes down for his trouble. He might be able to 2v1 here. A nice grasp on the back line, but he walks into the ADC. That is gonna be a shutdown 2-for-1 overall on the map as we see Value and Gweiss pushing that mid lane.
Yeah, I got top lane pushing as well. So if they're able to get this mid tower fast enough, they actually might be able to rotate up the top, get that one as well. get some wards down ready for Baron. Again, this is punishment from the side of Supernova. If you rotate more than 1 or 2 people down for a play onto even 1 or 2 people, as you saw in that fight between Piecake Lord and Iconic, you're still going to get punished by the rest of the team of Supernova. You saw it right there. They didn't commit to the top tower, only half of it gone from the side of Sudsy. He actually might get aggressed on as well, might have overstayed as well.
He very well might have, but again, that Air Drake is doing wonders. He's able to run away quite fast, but the rest of the team is collapsing. Nice wind wall doesn't block anything, actually, so unfortunately, a nice play there, but still, you can start seeing a little aggressive play come.
The Hunters might be the hunted here. Value and Twice trying to look for something. Yeah, they had a TP come in there, too. Wolf Skull Rider is completely uncontested on the bot side of the map, so they might look for this inner top tower.
Yeah, and they're just actually pushing down that mid lane. You already saw them ping it out. They said, all right, you guys don't even want to try and fight us. We'll just take that mid lane. We'll get a little bit of damage down.
And again, they have complete control over like this top right or the top quadrant of this jungle right now. Only the 1 ward sitting in the Tribe Rush. Red Buff's easily getting over it, and they have complete control of the Baron pick at the moment. Only thing they have to worry about is that bot lane push, but that's going to be canceled out by the tower. This is really good. They have complete control of this jungle. It's going to cost something to force here from the side of First Blood Crusade. Otherwise, they might just lose the Baron.
They really might. Already, that gold lead is definitely going to come into play here a little bit more. See the barrels come out thick and heavy, trying to find a little bit of an aggressive peak. As well as the fact that those Yumi's projectiles are constantly putting pressure. Sim taking almost the full culling, taking down below half health. Here comes the final shot. There is going to land on a few. That is going to be the barrel going out. Only lands on 1 though. Wolf Skull Rider is going to take the smashing hammer. That is going to be Piecake Lord collecting his 6th kill of the game. That is the obliteration coming up.
Yeah, we again see aggression here from the side of Supernova, but there's nothing on the opposite side. There's no counter engage, there's nothing ready. It's like they don't expect to fight every single time that it happens. So it always looks like Supernova is more engaged.
Oh, but here we go. Spooky has collected 1, but that is going to be Sim being dragged into the realm of death. Then Sudsy actually trying to go in as well, gets a knockup, but isn't able to get the final breath off. Obliterate, trying to find a few more opponents. Piecake Lord running for his life right now. That might be another one. Oh, he does get it down, so he's going to get a little bit of damage.
Come out still.
Yeah, he's still trying to bait it out, trying to work for it, but he doesn't have enough, and that is going to be the shield right there. He does get the smash. Now he actually gets to run away. He might be able to hold it off. No, that is going to go down for a 3-for-2 overall. But definitely Piecake Lord drawing enough time for his team to recuperate.
They do have quite a bit of gold advantage now. 6,000 gold lead currently for the side of Supernova. Again, Piecake Lord doing massive work on the backline here. He's just so hard to kill. A couple of frontline, Sudsy went down, Iconic went down. If it weren't for those 2 going down, or at least one of them going down, I think with this Yuumi, you could have gone to the Baron pit and maybe taken that. But certainly this advantage they're taking, it's going to still compound. They still have pressure over the top quadrant of the map. Supernova just pushing exactly what they need to do.
And that is true. Although this time around, Iconic not having the greatest game. 2-7-4. His team is helping pick it up, and his barrels have been on point. We've seen a lot of the explosive casts find their mark, and Sudsy has definitely had a time getting in. Question is will this mid to late game stall have a toll on them?
Right now, the Sivir is just a little bit behind in terms of the gold department. She's a little behind at least the Lucian. Once she gets the Infinity Edge, that's when I think the game starts to break more towards the side of First Blood Crusade. That's when they can really start contesting. They've done a good job of it so far with the composition that they have. Again, they're the ones with the better scaling, and they're the ones with the better pure team fight because they have tanks, they have frontline, that kind of thing. So eventually this damage will run out from the side of Supernova. The question is, when will it run out?
Yeah, I mean, that is so true. And again, it really depends, but here we go. A nice QSS comes out immediately. Cynotic, the one that is going to be on the chopping block here, does collect the kill. Value collecting 1 for himself. Scout of the Week actually goes out, and that's going to be a miss. So on the hunt as well. Iconic throwing himself into the fray. Pulling, getting them all fairly low. That's going to be another grass going out, and the barrel spreads them all, and that's going to be another fight split all the way through. Everyone's health bars are getting a little bit low, but here comes Sudsy going all the way in. Value barely staying alive. He's on a little bit of health, but the heals are huge. That is all that they need in a turnaround fight. A 5-for-1 favor in Supernova's way.
It all started with that pick on the Synodic. The rest of the fight was just kind of off the back of that. It's kind of seemed like the side of First Blood Crusade wasn't able to deal with the fact that they lost a member. So they try to re-engage to get something back once their support went down, and they can't do that. They can't contest there. They have to wait for a good opportunity. Instead, they just fight out in the open, lose a massive engagement, weren't even able to bring down value when his health bar was probably below 200. Fantastic game from the side of Supernova once again.
It really is, and in just the same amount of time, even though it was a bit closer in game number 2, in about 15 minutes of playtime, Supernova clinch their spot and bring themselves to a 2-0 victory.
Again, those look like very, very dominant wins, both 20-minute games, something like that. There was never a point in time where I felt like it was even First Blood Crusade that had a grasp on the game. They were the ones controlling it. It felt like Supernova were in the driver's seat the entire time.
It really did. And that's something to worry about going into the future. You know, how do you stall out such dominating players? How do you find a little break in the armor? And honestly, in game number 2, they had the opportunity for that. That top lane, really forcing unforced errors, if that makes sense at all. But, finding those opportunities and capitalizing.
Yeah, that they can. Like I said, I think the difficulty with fighting against Supernova is just we saw every single one of their players step up at some point. Pie Cake Lord was 1v5ing half the time. Iconic was finding really good engagements on this Gragas in game 1 and even in game 2 when he's the one that's behind. Sudsy's Yasuo was dominant in lane in game 2, and in game 1 it was just destroying the skirmishes. Value and Gweiss were amazing through the whole series. I got to give big shout-outs to Gweiss. He looked amazing in both of these games, especially game 2. Finding a lot of these picks with that last chapter, absolutely gorgeous.
Yes, it was. But now we do have to ask, as a little closing statement, who would you give your MVP award to for this?
Gweiss. I think through both games, everybody on that team had fantastic performances, but I think his was the most consistently fantastic. I think he was absolutely tops from minute 1 of game 1 to the end of game 2. I really think consistency from him was there the entire time. So I got to give.
All right, well, there we go. Gweiss taking our MVP for this series. And with that, I do believe that means Supernova will be first seed. We did get notice that Dawn Esports did win in their series 2-0. So that does mean that First Blood Crusaders auto-qualify, meaning they may actually have to fight Supernova once again. But again, that is going to be it for us here on the desk tonight. So from all of us here at the broadcasting desk, as well as Upsurge, thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great night.
Once again. once again.
Why